Hello, we're in Malta. We're doing another oil painting which is for sale on our website. I will try and get across the feel of this picture. This is an English picture. Now I use the expression it's washed up and marooned in Malta, as I am. It's not a Maltese picture, not an Italian picture. Come a long way, but given the colonial link between England and Malta, there's a lot of English stuff here. But it's slightly incongruous, and not many Maltese collectors actually like English paintings. It's just a matter of fact, they want their own pictures. They want Maltese pictures with Maltese artists. Though the Maltese artists, when it comes to the Maltese art market, the Maltese artists encompasses artists that visited Malta or were connected to Malta. I'm thinking of the Giannis, for example, who were Italian Maltese. So when you say a Maltese picture, then it was a certain diaspora. And as I've mentioned in other videos, the Maltese consider English artists like Passmore adequately skillful and desirable to include it as a Maltese artist, and his works are in the museum in Valletta. So they have, in a very, very pleasant way, having included some of the English artists, Passmore having lived on Malta. So this isn't that type of thing. This is an English picture painted in England and shipped over to Malta. So I'll give you some information on this picture. We'll start with the back. Now, the first thing I've noticed is it's painted upside down. And you have a lovely printed backboard, and the artist has just chucked it on the easel and started, and the painting's upside down. You do find it, but it's quite funny. Okay, Windsor and Newton, London, from W. Whitehead. So that's the local shop, W. Whitehead. This is a manufacturer, Windsor and Newton. You can go on I think it's the National Portrait Gallery website in England, and you'll see that Windsor and Newton they have a page of Windsor and Newton canvases in it. They have pictures of these stamps, and you can date them within 5 years. So I would say, I haven't looked it up, I estimate this whole thing is 1860 or 70, something like that. I think the frame is probably original. It's a pine frame with a gold coloured paint. There's been a repair. Oh, while I'm looking at it. Sorry. Doesn't mean that's happened. Right, we'll go back to the painting. So what have we got? We've got a marine scene. There are specialist auctions in England with marine pictures, and that's the expression they use, marine pictures. It is a seascape, and it denotes commercial shipping. It's not a naval oil. You've got a steamship. This has paddles on it and these little round housings. And I did look up this shape of paddle steamer, and it's about 1860. You've got a sailing boat in a storm. They've taken the sails up because they're being driven aground, and you have a very, very choppy sea, and it's painted in greens. So when it comes to England, they will paint the sea in a green, whereas in Med they will paint the sea in a blue. It's a subtle difference, but if you look at a Neapolitan picture, the sea will be chalky turquoisey blue, and if you look at a sea in England, it's going to be muddy brown or green. And so that's just worth remarking on. Very, very rough sea. Horrible, horrible sea. You have a storm. You have the blue clouds coming through, so it has the appearance of a bank of storm pushing across. And my feeling is this tugboat is pulling this commercial vessel off the rocks. It's not a private yacht. In fact, I can see there that the mast is snapped off. There you are. That's a stump of the second mast. So that's what's happened. The sail has gone. It's in trouble on the rocks. This is pulling it away into the better weather, which is over here. I don't know who's painted it, but I'm sure it's a commercial boat, 1860, English canvas. Not going to be Dutch, it's not going to be French. The frame hasn't got a gold leaf finish, it has a painted effect finish. The frame would benefit from being redone, or you can just live with it as it is. Now this is what I find interesting. I mean, I find it all interesting, but this is what I find particularly interesting here. You've got a very barren hill, and though this could be one of 100 places around the coasts of Britain or Ireland for that matter, I think this is Cornwall. They have these horrible, unfriendly shorelines. If your ship hits that thing, you've had it. Not only are you gonna, if you don't drown, you're gonna get beaten up on the rocks, and you can't be rescued if you're down there. Not in those days. You've had it. So you have a really brutal hill, no trees, windswept, barren, unfriendly. Now this here, I think, is a tin mine. I don't think it's a church. It could be a church. But there are not many churches in England built out in the middle of nowhere. They're not going to build a church here, because if you build, you're not going to build a church where there's no settlement. You build a church, you build a rectory, you have the workers' houses, you have the squire's house, you have the school, you have the pub, you have the houses, you have the cottages, you have the barns. So that's probably not a church. And they're not going to put a settlement here, because you can't get down to the beach. They're going to put a settlement down in the valley where there's a place to pull the boats out of the water, where there's a river. There's not a river up here, no water. I think it's a tin mine, and if you go to Cornwall, you'll find tin mines, dead tin mines, and they always have this tower. And the tower housed a shaft. And the steam aspect comes into play. This is a steamboat. The early forms of railways were, and steam engines came from Cornwall, where the steam engines were made to provide the pumps to drain the shafts. And some of the mines would go down a long way, some would go under the sea. So in that tower there are winches and cables, there is a steam engine, there is a chimney, and it's pumping the water out, it's pulling up the tin, the ore, and it's pushing air in, bellows, simple ventilation. So I think that is a tin, or a ship possibly full of tin ore, or tin, going somewhere, because the Cornish exported it all over the world. In fact, Joseph of Arimathea, by legend, was a tin trader, and he was the person who gave Jesus his tomb. He was rich, and he was a trader. And Jesus didn't have a tomb, so Joseph of Arimathea asked the Romans if he could put him in his tomb. And so there's a lot of interesting stuff going on with the tin thing. The church in England, I'm not saying the Church of England, it's different. The church in England arose very early, as early as the Catholic Church, if not earlier. Joseph of Arimathea came to England himself. The song Jerusalem, the English anthem, is actually about Jesus coming to England with Joseph of Arimathea. And if you look at the words of the song, there's a lot of stuff going on in that song. You have Glastonbury, where there is a special plant, a thorn, that flowers twice a year. No one understands why it flowers twice a year. So you have legend, Holy Grail, all that sort of stuff. Entwined in the background, you have the tin mine, you have England, you have the hot weather coming in, you have industrial England with the chimneys, the pit, the steam engine. Anyway, I hope that's been interesting for you. And like I keep saying, you have a picture, know, oh, it's just a picture of a boat in the sea, an English old Victorian picture, but there's a lot more to it. In nearly all these pictures, such a lot more to it. And if you like the Jesus thing about Cornwall, or you like tugboats, you know, it looks like a tugboat off the Mississippi. It's, you know, you just wouldn't believe that England in 1860 had these sort of craft that could do this, but it's just incredible. It's run on coal. So a lot that I find interesting. I hope you find it interesting as well. That's for sale on our website. It's not a famous artist, I don't think. It's nicely done. It's not a very big picture, so its value is held down. It's a very interesting thing. If you like it, have a go and buy it. Thanks for having a look.